Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash. We got our extra bases segment for you. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays. They're closing in on the Yankees. The Yankees had, a 6-game lead the last time we talked about this?
Yeah, I mean, we just did a Toronto Blue Jays deadline segment and everything they brought in, and we were talking about if they were going to overtake the Yankees or not. And I said they could, and you in 47 said the Yankees would still win the division, which they still could. But what was it, 6.5, something like
Somewhere
that?
Around there.
It's already down to a game and a half, where New York's sitting at 61-49, Toronto Blue Jays 61-52.
I guess winning the deadline sometimes does help you.
Well, here's a big reason for it. They just played a series against each other in New York, and Toronto went in and swept them, won the series, 3 games, and outscored the Yankees 10-1 in the series. In fact, the Yankees have scored 4 runs over their last 5 games combined after scoring 25 runs in their previous 2 games. So they're kind of struggling offensively right now. And while the Toronto Blue Jays went out and did all this stuff at the deadline, adding an ace in David Price, adding Tulowitzki, adding Ben Revere, they brought in a couple bullpen pieces. They actually went out and just grabbed Cliff Pennington, too, for a waiver trade deal to help because Devon Travis is on the DL right now. In fact, he isn't expected back until the beginning of next month. But while they went out and did all these moves, New York kind of stood pat and really did nothing outside of one of their only moves was adding Dustin Ackley. He can play some outfield. He can play some second base for him. But after 3 at-bats, he was placed on the DL, and he's going to be out till late August. So really...
It was a good get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of like this guy. He was actually a big-time prospect at one time. Never really realized his potential. Has his moments here and there. And I think it was a good ad for him. But really, they're getting nothing out of him right now. And that's pretty much all they did. Although, they did call up Luis Severino, too. That prospect we did a prospect check on that I really like. And in his first start, he went 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, which was a homer, 0 walks, and 7 Ks. So he looked pretty good in his major league debut. And I kind of like this guy moving forward as well. But one of their other best starting pitchers, Michael Pineda, he's still on a DL. He's expected to return in early September. So they have about a month until he returns. So the Yankees are kind of struggling right now while the Toronto Blue Jays are on a roll. In fact, like I said, they just swept New York. They're on an 8-game win streak, and they've won 11 of their past 12 games as well. So Toronto's on the rise while New York's struggling to keep this lead at the top of the division.
Did you see Teixeira crying like a little baby the other day?
Teixeira was crying like a baby?
Yeah, apparently there was some fan interference he felt on a play.
Yeah, well, that happens. Was it as bad as Moises Alou?
It was way better.
Moises was crying like a baby. It looked worse than that.
Yeah.
No way.
He went on a rant and was yelling at the dude. The dude even apologized. I think what really happened is Teixeira's arm was kind of extended and planted on a seat while he was reaching for the ball with his glove hand, and the other guy bumped his elbow. He could have snapped his arm, but the dude didn't mean to do it, and he immediately apologized. But Teixeira was yelling at him and just being a big giant crybaby about it.
I remember one time Gary Sheffield was in right field, and there was a foul ball hit into the fans, and he went to catch it, and a fan purposely, I think it was against Boston, a fan purposely poured beer on him while he was reaching into the stands, and he caught the ball still, and then instead of throwing it in first, he went to cock back and punch the fan, but he decided not to punch him, and then he turned and threw the ball in.
Should have punched.
It was
the
hilarious.
Fan.
I would have punched the fan. That was ridiculous.
Dump beer on you. That's low ball.
Yeah, but like I was saying, Toronto's on their way up. New York Yankees just trying to hang on, but they have 10 more games against each other still. And let's not forget, the Orioles are only 5 games back of the Yankees in this division, and Tampa Bay's only 6 games back right now. So if you really think about it, there's still 4 teams that could actually win this division. Do I think Tampa's going to come back and win this division? Probably not. The Orioles, I mean, it's possible. They made some deadline moves, and they were a good team coming into the season as well. They have their star players like an Adam Jones and a Manny Machado as well, so they have a chance to make a run at this division. And the Yankees have 6 more games versus Tampa Bay and 6 more games versus Baltimore, Whereas Toronto, they have 7 games remaining against Baltimore and 6 remaining against Tampa Bay. So there's still a lot to be decided in this division. And like I said, 10 more games against each other between New York and Toronto. And in fact, this Friday, they actually start a 3-game series at Toronto. So we could get a better look at what this division is going to look like after that 3-game series. If Toronto sweeps them again, I mean, Toronto has to be the favorite in this division moving forward, I would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I just want A-Rod to get 30 home runs and make it to the playoffs so I can rub it in your face. So that's pretty much the only reason why I'm rooting for the Yankees.
Well, really, after that big 3 home run game he had a while back, he really hasn't shown the power. He's still sitting at 24 home runs right now. Now I expect him to hit a couple more, and he possibly could get to 30 still. I mean,
That's
could.
the closest to agreeing with me you've gotten all season.
All he needs is, listen,
Possibly.
What's the record? 61-49. So that's 110 games. They have 52 games left. He needs 6 home runs. That's one about every 9 games. He could do that, definitely. If he even goes on another power surge like he just did, he'll get there very soon.
All he needs
but
is
right now,
one
he's
or
just
two home run games.
While Mark Teixeira, he already got 30 home runs.
Well, nobody cares about Teixeira.
Teixeira's a beast this season,
garbage.
man. I think he's playing better than A-Rod, personally.
Boo-hoo, my name's Teixeira, and they wouldn't let me on Entourage again. It's because you sucked the first time you were on it, Teixeira.
Another thing the Yankees could do is they could call up that Robert Refsnyder again. That was another guy we did a prospect check on, and they actually called him up, a week after we did that prospect check?
Believe it.
And he hit a home run in his second game, and they sent him back down pretty quickly. And with Dustin Ackley on a DL, I thought they were going to definitely call Russ Snyder back up to play some second base. I mean, they have Steven Drew at second base right now. We talked about him before. He's pretty much a terrible hitter. He gives you a little bit of pop, but he can't hit the ball for crap, really. And Robert Refsnyder looks like a pretty good prospect to me, so I would be calling him up. He's going to give you value offensively. And while you're struggling, like I said, 4 runs over your last 5 games, call Refsnyder up. Maybe he can give you a little spark.
Believe it. You got to do something. You're losing games to the Blue Jays like, whoa.
Yeah, but Toronto, I mean, they made all these moves, man, but really the pitching has been much better recently, and it's partially because of David Price. I mean, he's 2-0 in 2 starts with an 0.60 ERA and an 0.73 whip with Toronto, but really, Marco Estrada is pitching excellent in Toronto right now. Burley looks pretty good in Toronto right now. Drew Hutchison is still winning games in Toronto. I know his ERA is a little high, but he's a 10-game winner already, so he's pitching pretty well. I mean, this whole rotation is pitching pretty well. And let's not forget, their best pitcher of all, Marcus Stroman, went down before the season started. This guy is very young, and he already showed last season he can be an ace. They're going to be getting him back next season. So although David Price may be a rental, you got Marcus Stroman coming back. So I see this team being very good for a pretty long time because they got some young pieces in here too. They're eventually going to get rid of Encarnacion and Bautista eventually, but they're going to have pieces to replace it. They got that Dalton Pompey out there. I know he struggled early this season, but he's still a good-looking prospect. So they got pieces in the minor league system too, and I'm really liking Toronto this season, and I'm liking them for the next few years as well.
Blue Jays. That's my best Blue Jay impersonation.
It's the only bird. Well, no, you have other bird calls.
I do have other bird calls, so we're not going to get started with that.
Yes, no.
But that's all we got for you today in the Extra Bases segment. Thank you, fans, for listening. Thank you, Dash, for coming in. Fans, you could follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You could follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to the YouTube page and keep clicking subscribe. Hit 150 subscribers today. Boom.